And welcome to the latest edition of Cruzin With The Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. Julie, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, 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 good. Before we get into the show, and of course I'm gonna ask your question, but just want to let our viewers and subscribers know our brief hiatus was due to my scheduling. They've heard us talk about my new role and that kind of thing. So I was in Europe for a month, and then when I came back, had to really support my team. Should I tell my viewers that I worked 18 days in a row? They're gonna be like, "Oh, blame me." Then I had a day off and then worked another 14 in a row. So I shouldn't tell them that, but no, that was just wanted to address our brief hiatus. We didn't have any new episodes, but we got new episodes for you now, so we'll make up for it. So, Julian, got a question for you. It's kind of obvious, I think. Um, are you a mother? Because you have children, right? So that classifies you as a mother.
Yeah,
I know that could have gone so
by
many
default,
ways.
I guess I'm a mom.
That yeah, that was a bit obvious, but so I don't want to give away the topic, but um, do you like your children?
Sometimes.
Well, then we've got a show and the right one for you, Julie. That was I did not pay her to say that, y'all. Didn't pay her to say that at all. Oh man. So what we want to talk about with May and Mother's Day is right around the corner from our date of recording this, but there's a secret that moms really don't talk about, right? And before we jump into it, you kind of alluded to it, right? Like there's times where you might not like your kids, like you love them, but you might
Love
not
them
like
all the
them.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, right. I'm glad you made that distinction that you love them all the time.
yeah,
That's
love them all the time.
unconditionally. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. But you don't like them unconditionally, right?
Facts. As they feel the same about me. I mean, let's be honest. I
that,
mean,
that that's fair. That's
human.
fair.
We're human.
All right. So we'll go ahead and jump into the show, right? We'll talk about this because I think it's actually an important discussion to have, right? So, from Psychology Today, the article was written by Nancy Collier, who is a licensed social worker and a reverend. She's a minister. So she changes the name of her patient. She's also a therapist as well, but changes the name of her patient that she was allowed to share the story. Name is Kate, and Kate had never been in therapy. And when she showed up to Dr. Collier's office, um, she had never felt the need to confide or share with anyone outside of her close circle of friends and family. She was pretty much a happy, emotionally healthy woman in her mid 40s. Um, but when Kate was in her office, she talked about one particular problem that she couldn't talk about with anyone else. As it turns out, the problem Kate couldn't talk about was a problem that many women experience, and um, it's one that women keep a secret and never talk about outside of their therapy space. And again, she mentioned that Kate gave her permission to share the story. So, the unspeakable, unshareable truth was this: that Kate loved her child, but she didn't like her very much. She was entirely devoted to her, would do anything for her, but she didn't actually enjoy being with her. So I'm gonna come out on camera here for a second, and as the father on the show, I will defer to the mother on the show, and anything you'd like to share so far about Kate's acknowledgement of this.
I think it's something that we as moms, and it's not something that all moms share. You know, there's some moms
Mm,
who just love
sure,
their child completely, totally, or completely devoted. And kudos to
sure.
those moms who feel that way. Okay.
They wa-
Like,
Well, and they
Like,
like them because we're not questioning the love. We're not
yeah,
questioning
we're not
the love
yeah,
part. No, no,
no.
no, not at all.
So, but I think there is a time, like, we need to be more candid with the fact that there are times where
Yeah,
you don't like your children, and as a mom, it's hard because the the truth of the matter is, when and I'm just gonna put it out there, when
sure.
dads leave, moms get stuck, okay? And moms carry that load 1000% of the time. And
It
it's really
becomes
hard.
both. You're carrying both of those on your shoulders. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly, exactly. And I think it's real easy for you know, when people separate, it's easy for dads who are on the outside to look at the situation and go, "Well, you got it taken care of."
right, right.
And it's like, "Well,
Even
do I
even
really?"
even if you separate, the dad could still be an integral, active part in the children's lives. Yeah,
Correct,
yeah,
correct, correct. So, but it's funny because even when we talked about this earlier, like that we were going to talk about it,
yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
reminded of there's this whole monologue with, well, actually, it's not a it's an actual scene in a movie
Oh,
with
okay.
Jennifer Aniston, and I've never seen the movie, or at least I don't recall it. And she's talking to her daughter, and her
Right.
daughter's spoiled little brat of some sort. And she just goes off on her, something, something, yada, yada, blah, blah. And you're a real asshole. And I'm just like, and I
You're like,
remember
whoa, she
initially
went
seeing it and
there.
going,
Right.
oh
How
my
could
God, like,
she?
no, I
Yeah.
said, she said that out loud. Like,
Oh,
like,
she said the quiet part out loud, right?
like, wow, like she said that out loud, And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
part that we need to be a little bit more candid with, like, because I
Sure.
think sometimes
It,
as moms, we don't think it's okay to say that to each other. Like,
or okay to feel it, right?
right,
Like
right,
let's validate the fact that you might not like your kids. It's
right,
it
right.
doesn't mean, well, we'll get into some of this in a minute, right? But I mean, yes, you're raising them, and yes, you
Mhm.
have a part to play in raising them to be good people, but they
Right,
have their own personalities, and they might just be little
right,
shits. Like, I mean,
right, right. And bottom line, we're trained to take it. That's
oh,
We're trained to take it.
I never thought about that. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As girls, we're trained to take it, you know? I
Mm.
mean, even from the opposite sex, what are you told when a boy pulls your hair or when he kicks you or
It
he
means he
pumps
likes you,
It
or it
means
means
he
it's,
likes
yeah.
you. It's a form of love. Oh, okay. So
Stop loving me. Stop loving me. Stop it. Stop
abuse is
it.
love. Okay, this is awesome. You know what I mean? So again, we're
Yeah. Yeah.
trained
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
take it. We're like, all
Yeah.
right, let me rub that off. Okay, let me keep taking it. So
Wow.
I think,
It never even occurred to me. Like you said, we're conditioned, right, and trained. That's ooh, damn.
yeah, yeah,
See, this is why we're talking about it, y'all. This is exactly why we need to do this. We need to normalize it for sure.
right.
But and you know what? Didn't mean to cut you off, but let's
No, you're
jump
good.
back into what Kate realized because I think it goes to some points you were about to bring up. So,
Mhm.
um, Kate realized this that she didn't really like being around her daughter, and so she tried to, excuse me, confess her feelings to her best friend. Okay, her friend immediately explained to Kate why everything that Kate was complaining about she didn't like was age appropriate behavior for a teenager. Bookmark that, right? Her best friend basically told her she was acting like a teenager. She also told Kate that her feelings were not about her daughter at all, but about all the parts of herself that she didn't like, and that she needed to get over it and stop blaming her child for her own issues. She asked Kate if she'd be willing to give her daughter a chance, or if she'd ever been willing to give her daughter a chance to be likable. She also reminded Kate, as if she didn't think about it already, how painful it must be for her daughter to intuitively know that her mother didn't like her. So basically, all roads led back to the same place. Kate's feelings were her fault, and they meant that something was fundamentally wrong with her and that she was a bad mother, right? It most certainly was not okay to feel that way. So, as we come back out on camera, I, I can't with you. I can't. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna pose one question for you. uh, please let me know what you think of Kate's friend and her explanation to Kate.
I mean, how terrible that someone would be that vulnerable and that you would then turn it back on that person. I mean, wow. Like, what do you do with that? You
When
know?
you're told you were acting like a teenager
Yeah,
when you were your inner circle, right? And even as a guy, right? I know it's odd sometimes for guys to have a group of close friends, but I do, right? And I cannot imagine sharing anything, let alone like being open and vulnerable and hey man, I really got this issue to then be told, bro, like why you acting like a spoiled brat? Why you acting like a teenager?
right. Right.
Yeah, you just became an associate, not a friend.
Yeah, right? You know, I had this friend I used to know.
Well, at least you didn't say, I had this friend that used to be alive.
Exactly.
But yeah, that like how that's I'm not even unsympathetic. Like
Right,
now, I'm curious. You talked about being conditioned, right? From the time we grow up, being conditioned to take it, and
correct.
you should like your kids. I'm curious because it does the article or this article doesn't talk about it, but I'm curious if Kate's friend has children, right?
See, and that's the other piece. If you're talking to a person who doesn't have children, because I will
Right.
tell you, like, even when I get into those situations, because, when I'm talking to a friend and
Sure.
we start the whole, you know,
Hmm.
conversation, and it's just like, okay, I always stop and say, okay, set it up for me. Like, what happened?
Right. So you can be informed, right? Because there's never
Exactly.
one side to a story. There's
Yeah.
multiple angles, but so if Kate's friend has children, damn.
Exactly, exactly. So then but, like, even when you say, like, "Set it up for me," and then they're telling you the story and la da 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 da
Sure.
da, and then,
Sure.
you know, it's gonna be a little
Uh,
side,
Yeah,
there's
of course.
yeah.
There
So,
there's
but
some
then
there's some slant to it. Yeah. Yeah,
but
yeah,
then you
yeah,
can kinda still look at it and go, "Man,
yeah.
you're
Like
an asshole." You know?
and then they're like, "Oh, man, I didn't even realize, but thank you."
Right,
Right? Like, well, if you got that kind of relationship, that's what Kate's friend could have been like. Like, "Hey, you know what?
right.
I get
Like
what you're talking about.
like,
Yes, you
you could have
were."
said that a different way, or you could have, like, y y
Wow.
and
And
that's I
she
would
tried to put
appreciate
the
that.
guilt trip on her. She tried to put the guilt trip.
Right,
I can't imagine that your daughter knows that her mother doesn't like her. Like, wow.
right,
She's
right,
trying to share with you. Not only did you tell her she was wrong and she was a teenager, but then you told her you're not thinking about your daughter.
right.
Wow. Guilt trip. That's
And, like,
crazy.
and it's not I can hear her almost and those parts you're complaining about, that's you. Like,
It's like, how is it that you don't like your subjects because you don't like your kids? I mean, like where are we going with that? Come on,
that's
Kate friend.
terrible. I can't
Yeah,
even imagine. Oh,
yeah. All the
oh,
all, all the parts that you're complaining about are the parts that you don't like about you.
exactly. Like,
It is
okay, well, let me
all right.
take
So
all
we
my
got to
let me take all my parts and
and
leave
go.
this room.
Yeah, yeah. Kate's friend not helpful. Well, and that's what
Mm,
sucks. Like you're supposed to be in the inner circle. You're supposed to be like the confidant. She's sharing, and you're like, yeah, no, you're wrong.
well,
Like
you always wanna be somebody's safe space, especially if they're sharing something so oh,
deep
yeah,
and ooh.
yeah,
All
for
right.
sure. Yeah.
Okay, we got that out. So let's find out if Kate could share this with her husband. Okay,
Oh, we already
let's
know where it's going.
let's
Okay.
let's give the husband a fair shake. Let's see if
Okay.
she could share with the husband. All right. Okay. So, uh, Kate tried to share this experience about not really liking her daughter with her husband, who also was the girl's father. Okay. And he became agitated and angry. Shocker.
Mm.
He, sorry, he defended their daughter and reminded Kate, as her friend did, that everything she was doing in this behavior was teenage behavior. Wow. Why are we blaming why are teenagers taking shots? Um so then he reiterated the sentiment too that Kate's feelings were her own problem and it stemmed from her own childhood, damn, and the parenting she received. So then he instantly, became judge and jury and he made the leap from Kate's ambivalent feelings to the accusation that she was thinking about abandoning their daughter. In a matter of minutes, Kate's complicated confession turned into her turned her into a cold-hearted person who would leave his daughter, which he also made clear he would never do. Okay, let's come back out on camera here. Um, any thoughts you have on Kate's husband?
Okay. So now, in this
Sure.
piece,
In
now
this
let's
instance,
let's
yes.
let's
Yep.
think about this.
Yep. Yep.
So now this is your spouse. This is someone you share your life with, who you've created this child with.
That is correct.
Now, the other thing, the other side of this token is this. That's not to say that sometimes we don't do this, like we don't get in our own heads and that we don't project things onto other people.
That
We're
is true.
human. We are
That is
human.
true.
Just like,
Mhm.
like, so who isn't to say that basically maybe there is something about her daughter that she might genuinely be jealous of. Moms
Mm.
do that too. Moms do that
Okay.
too.
Okay.
So,
That's fair. That's fair.
um, I mean, I should say any parent can do that. You can be a father who is watching his son become this genuine, phenomenal
Oh,
athlete.
we see it all the
And
time, and they live vicariously through.
exactly. And so,
Yeah,
like,
totally.
as a
Totally.
mom, so then honestly, I would think maybe at this point, Kate would have to step back and think, okay, now this is a second person who is
Mhm.
saying to me that I am
I'm
not in the right genuine place in
I'm
how I'm
acting
feeling
like a
about my son.
teenager.
Correct.
Why are the
Correct.
shots being fired at teenage behavior though? Like what? Because we all know that teenagers don't have fully formed brains. So why are we firing shots at teenagers? Come on. Right. No, wow.
So, I mean,
But that's fair. It's a fair point that you raised that
yeah,
maybe at this point before before he accuses or jumps to the conclusion that she could abandon their child, before he jumps to that, maybe there's some truth to, oh, maybe there's something I need to kind of reflect on that I don't like about my daughter. Okay,
correct.
that's fair.
Correct.
But then
But then, like,
he
we'll get
he builds the bridge from it, and let's before I finish that statement, I think, and we've talked about relationships a lot on our show, right? The one thing you want is open communication. And you,
correct.
you mentioned it earlier, safe space, right? Whether it's a friendship, partnership, husband, wife, marriage, whatever, right? Safe space, communication, and your wife is opening up to you.
Right.
And you start with, okay, that's you're acting like a teenager, blah, blah, blah. But then you dig deeper and you say, well, sounds like you would abandon her. And of course, I would never do that. Sorry, that's
Right.
kind of what her husband sounds like to me in my head. Right? I would never abandon her. Like, wow, man, how did you start pointing the finger all of a sudden? You know,
Right.
she's just
Right.
telling you how she feels, and you're like, "Oh, you thinking about leaving?"
Right. Right.
Like, don't know where we made that bridge. Not sure how we made that. So what we've kind of found out is it doesn't look like Kate can talk to anybody. I don't know.
Pretty
Well,
much.
other than her therapist, right? Because that's where she is.
Correct.
So,
Right. Right.
but you know what? So why don't we take a break here? Let people think about Kate's friend and her husband, and really Kate's dilemma about not liking her daughter, but not being able to share it. Right. So let's take a break. When we come back, we will continue talking about Kate's story, and we'll normalize that it's okay for mothers not to like their children. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, y'all. Welcome back from the break. This is another episode of Cruising with the Coaches, a conversation with Julie and Lee. Before we went to the break, we've been talking about a secret that mothers never really will talk about or even admit. And we've been following and talking about Kate's story. And yes, her name has been changed. Her therapist gave her permission, or she gave her therapist permission to share the story in Psychology Today. When we took the break, we found out that Kate couldn't share this with her best friend, couldn't share it with her husband, got accused of being a teenager and having teenage behavior, all this stuff. So, shall we dive back in?
Sure.
So, pretty much, Kate discovered that there was no safe space to be heard about this experience. No place where she could just be ambivalent and be received without harsh judgment or rejection. And it seemed that regardless of who she talked to, that her feelings were held against her and they were used to blame, shame, and pathologize her. It was simply forbidden for a woman to love her child, but not like the child's personality. The truth was, Kate's feelings collided with one of the fiercest taboos that women carry. They challenged what may be the strongest belief we hold. A good mother is supposed to feel endless love, enjoyment, gratitude, and the unending desire to spend time with her children. She's expected to adore her children as people no matter what and be naturally and entirely fulfilled by caregiving. Any deviation, any deviation from this label is deemed as a moral failure. Ultimately, Maternal love should eliminate her own subjectivity. These beliefs, shared by both women and men, are hardwired into our system from the beginning. So let's come back out on camera here and let's unpack some of that a bit. Um, yeah, you first. No, it's it's a shame. I just want to say this. It's a shame that Kate didn't have that safe space in her inner circle, right?
Mhm. Right.
Because as someone's inner circle, and you pretty much know if you're in someone's inner circle, right? And it doesn't have to be your significant other. That's fine. But if you know that you're in someone's inner circle and you're judging them unfairly, right, for something that they're sharing with you, shame on you. Like you don't
Right.
deserve to be in that inner circle. First of all, you know. Um, but yes, your thoughts on, and I like the way it was put, where, and you mentioned it again in the first segment, where we're conditioned for this, right? Both men and women have this idealized notion of what a mother should be. So,
Right.
yes, your thoughts, please.
I mean, and I think, like I said, there are some women who don't feel that way, who have never felt that way, who would feel like that might shake their core. And I think that's the part that Kate wasn't prepared for. You know what
Sure,
I mean? So,
sure.
like, if you're talking to someone, like you said, who doesn't have a child, so like maybe she needed to know her audience. If you're gonna open up to someone who doesn't have kids, well, then that's probably not a smart move in the first place.
It's almost
So
like
let's
asking for relationship advice with someone who's not in a relationship.
exactly. So let's, for discussion purposes, say
Sure.
that her friend does have kids.
Well, okay.
So if she does have kids
Right.
and someone does open up to you in that manner, then the proper thing to probably respond isn't to say, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Because that's basically what her friend said. I mean,
Exact.
that's
That's exactly. I mean, it
pretty
wasn't
much
worded that way, but
pretty much what she said.
you
So
monster.
exactly. So if someone opens up to you in that
Yeah.
manner,
Yeah.
while it may shake your core,
Mm.
the proper way to respond would be, while that has not been my experience, help me understand yours.
Say that again for the people in the back who couldn't hear it. Yes. Yes,
You
that
know?
one.
So, like,
Yeah.
because if you don't get it, you don't get it, and that there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that's, we've I've
Yep.
had this conversation with many people,
Yep.
and it's just
Yep.
kind of like
Yep.
understanding that some people just don't have that capacity. Like they just like
Aren't going to get, but you got to give them a safe space to land. Whether
exactly,
you get it or not. Okay, cool. You know what? I might not understand, but I'm an open ear if you need to vent, right? Like, I mean,
exactly,
because maybe sometimes, okay, let's. Kate doesn't like her daughter. Her daughter's a little jerk, little ass, whatever. So maybe just getting it out
right,
will help you then reset. But you don't have to understand it to let someone get it out.
exactly,
You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think understanding that she's just needing somewhere to place that
Hmm. Yep.
is
Yep.
enough of an understanding situation where she can
Mm,
move on from it. But if you're not going to allow for that, then what kind of a
didn't
friend are you?
right. Well, the other part that I want to actually normalize is that, and this can be attributed to parents as well, but we're focusing on mothers in this show.
Mhm,
Is that you're that's part of your identity, right? It's part of it. Yes, it could be 95% because once you have kids, you kind of got to focus on them a little bit.
mhm,
But you're more than a mother, right? If you're in a marriage, okay, then you have a partner. If you are in a relationship, then maybe you have a partner, but you probably most and may not, but you have a job. So
right,
let's also normalize the fact that one, if you have a job that's outside of the home, you technically have two jobs
mhm,
because you're working, outside the home and you're raising your kids, right?
Right. Right.
Let's also normalize if you do not have a job outside of the home that stay at home moms are also that's also a full-time job,
Right.
right? So let's
Right.
normalize that. And the third thing I just want to acknowledge and normalize is that it's okay if you feel that way, right? That you
Right.
don't like your kids. That may happen. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean it doesn't mean as Kate's friend and her husband said, those are parts about you don't like. What? Like her therapist acknowledged she was, woman in her mid 40s and pretty emotionally stable and happy.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's
Yes.
not parts of Kate's self that Kate doesn't like.
Right. And I think the other piece too that we forget is if you have multiple children, like if you have one
Mm.
child, you're one mom. Okay. If you have one child, you are one mom.
Right, right,
If you
right, right.
have multiple children, you are multiple moms because you are different for every one of those children.
Yep.
So whether you are a girl mom or you are a boy mom or what have you, you
Mhm.
are a different mom to every one of those children, and you have to adjust yourself accordingly. And so to not be able to wrap your head around that, I, I
It is not fair. It's
it's
just,
not fair.
it's not fair, but it's not realistic, right?
Correct.
It's
Correct.
and I know, again, like we're doing this show specifically around May and Mothers and Mother's Day. I love the fact that we can celebrate the mothers who are the super moms and doing all this stuff. And a lot of times from the outside looking in, it looks like they got everything covered, right?
Correct.
The sports weekends and multiple kids, and whether or not they're in a relationship, that's not even the point, right?
Mhm.
But kudos to those moms who do it. But the one thing that I want to, I guess, get across too, don't lose yourself in your kids because your kids eventually become adults. They're going to have their own lives. And yes, you always be their mom, but what else are you?
Right.
And what else do you want to be? Right?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
were something else before you were their mom. So,
Right.
uh, you know, um, yeah. We've got a few more slides here. Let's jump into what Kate's therapist talked about.
Okay.
Um, so, regardless of how prevalent it is, women are ashamed to say that they don't always like their kids or want to spend time with them. Motherhood has been idolized to leave no room for contradictory feelings or ambivalence. But the hidden truth is that ambivalence in motherhood is remarkably commonplace, and it could even be the norm. Still, when a woman feels boredom, resentment, aversion, or just not liking her child at times, she often experiences that feeling not as a normal human reaction, but as evidence that she is defective, guilty, or even dangerous. That's extreme, but man. Um, excuse me. Countless mothers talk about contradictory, difficult, and complicated feelings towards their kids. These feelings in motherhood are a normal part of the process of mothering. In order to shift the idealized all or nothing, unmeetable expectations about what mothers should feel, women need to first release the judgments that they perpetrate on themselves and against each other. Before anything systemic can evolve, women need to stop shaming and blaming themselves for what are entirely natural feelings that ebb and flow. And that can also change. With permission to feel all her feelings, even about her kids, a woman gets to be a real human being, not just a cartoon cutout of an idealized mother who can't exist without a host of harsh taboos to keep her in line. It's rare for women to find a safe space enough to talk about their relationship with their children if it doesn't look and sound a certain way. But when, excuse me, when we become that safe space for ourselves, when there can be space for everything, the whole truth, a space not contingent on the contents of what it holds, then we discover a safety that puts it very plainly. And I think it's important for, I was going to say women, but specifically mothers, to not judge themselves, right? I think, recognize you're human, you have feelings, and it's okay to not like your children. That's okay. Sometimes they just have a shitty personality. Like they were they were born with it, or it's the dad's fault. I mean, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, any last thoughts that you have about this secret that mothers may not ever tell?
I mean, the reality is motherhood doesn't come with an owner's manual, in recognizing
Hmm.
that I should say it's not even just motherhood, parenthood, period.
Sure.
And I,
Yeah.
I've caught myself when there are situations where I go ballistic, about this, that, or whatever. And I've said to,
Right.
hey, I was today years old when I've had to deal with this situation. So I'm gonna need
Right.
y'all to give me
Right.
a minute because
Just cut me a little slack. Yeah.
cut me
Yeah.
some slack, give me some grace because
New
I've never dealt
new
with this before.
new parenting level unlocked. Those are fun, aren't they?
Exactly, exactly. Because I'm like, ugh. Like, I mean, and then even when they become adults, you're
Right.
thinking you're done, and then something else happens and you're just kind of like, well, ain't this something? Thought I was done.
Well, you touched on something real quick, and I just want to make this point too, because you actually, you made this point even without doing it on purpose, because I think that's the person you are, right? Like you were being transparent with your kids.
Yeah,
You're like, hold on, like I've never dealt with this, so give me a minute, and
exactly.
we'll work through it. But I think that's fair because then your
Right,
kids see you as a whole person, right? Not
right.
as super mom or just mom or whatever it is. They like, oh, wait a minute. She she
She's human.
has she has feelings too.
And they're human too, and it's just
Right.
like
Right.
that whole, whether we're placing them on a pedestal, they're placing us on a pedestal, whatever that is,
Right.
recognizing we're all human, we're all going to screw up, we're not doing things perfectly,
Right.
and just recognizing, hey, like,
Yeah.
let's figure this out together, but the fact of the matter is I love my kids 1000% of the time. Do I
Yeah.
like them all the time? No, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I do, because I promise you they're not going to pretend like they like me either.
It, and pretending don't get anybody anywhere.
Exactly, right? They ain't paying my bills, so why we pretending? Who we pretending for?
We ain't gotta be
we,
friends.
we ain't got to be friends.
We family, but we gotta be friends. We ain't gotta be friends.
Exactly. Exactly. We share blood, but we don't share bills.
One could only hope. One could only hope. Oh man. Someday. Someday.
Oh.
Oh man. Well, we have enjoyed you all on this latest episode of Cruising with the Coaches. Um, If you want to find us on Spotify, go to the Little Good Podcast, look for CWTC or Cruising with the Coaches. You'll find all the episodes there. You can also find us on our YouTube page. That's where all the episodes, even some funny shorts, all that stuff lives. But if that's not your flavor and you prefer the Book of Face, yes, you can go to Facebook. We got a Cruising with the Coaches Facebook page. Take your pick, all the above. Until next time, Lee and Julie signing out.